other fugitives extradited. So I think we
Absolutely.
have to be very careful on the diplomatic front and make sure that if the conditions have been prescribed by the UAE courts, then we should follow those.
Okay.
If there's a requirement that lawyers must meet the extradited person, Christian Michel, then the lawyers should be allowed to meet. And similarly, UK High Commission officials should be given consular
Absolutely.
access.
Oh, absolutely. Let me go across to Mr. Balwinder Singh now. Mr. Singh, what is the role of the investigating agencies really in ensuring that a person is extradited back to India?
As already pointed out by former ambassador to UAE, the process of extradition involves both legal as well as diplomatic levels. As far as legal process is concerned, with a large number of countries, we have got extradition treaties as well as mutual legal assistance treaties. In extradition, the normal process, of course, it can vary from one country to another, but broad picture remains the same. That the requesting country has to prove in a prima facie manner that a case exists of a crime which is a crime in both the countries. The country from where the person is to be extradited as well as the country, in any case requesting country, it's a crime. Once that has been proven that it's a crime in both the countries, prima facie proven in a court of law, then there's an appeal level. Once appeal is exhausted, then at political or diplomatic level, a decision is taken whether to extradite or not. In this case, it's an achievement of both the investigating agency, which sends letter rogatory and also follows up the process of prima facie trial. And then it's an achievement at the political and diplomatic level that we have succeeded in getting a fugitive who is a citizen of Britain extradited from Dubai.
Right. All right. Let me get the legal expert in now. Piyush Singh, is there a law in the country that governs the process? And is there a law on the authorities as well as far as extradition is concerned?
Definitely, Frank. The Extradition Act of 1962 was the law which is governing it. But definitely it also lays down that extradition can only be done in three major circumstances. If we have a treaty with the requested state country, we have an arrangement, or we have an agreement with them. There can be also a principle of reciprocity. So in case we don't even have a treaty with a particular country, in case of principle of reciprocity is followed, the other country can also allow extradition to happen in that case. So in all such cases, when India is a requesting country and India makes a request to the other country, there can be either three circumstances: we have a treaty, agreement, or an arrangement. Or the second thing is, on the basis we can request them that in case we don't have these agreements with you right now, in case anything happens in future and we may need to reciprocate the same thing to you, we'll be happy to do that for you.
So there's some precedent to follow, basically.
Yes, definitely. And more so, I would say, with respect to foreign nationals, yes, with UAE, this would be the first time a foreign national has been extradited to India. Though I was going through the Ministry of External Affairs website, there's been so far 67 extraditions which has happened throughout the world to India. The criminals have been extradited back to India, out of which, as Sir rightly pointed out, 19 have been from UAE. Though from other countries like Canada and US, foreign nationals have been extradited to India so far. So there have been precedent to that effect. Absolutely.
Let me bring in Shekhar Iyer into the picture, because there are so many facets to this entire issue. Let's talk about the political implications really as far as the extradition of Christian Michel is concerned.
Well, but the political impact, I would say there are two areas. See, as it was mentioned here, to be successful in extradition, you need first a legal framework in the shape of an extradition treaty. Then there is a legal process. The legal process is strengthened by a good investigation and good documentation as to make a case for extradition. And the third aspect is the diplomacy. And fourth, I would say, which would be the engine for this kind of success, would be the operation at the political level. It would have involved at the highest level both India and UAE, coming to some kind of understanding as to how this process has to be gone through. Now, I think apart from all this, what is also giving India that kind of clout today is India is seen as a rising global economic power. There are a lot of investments in this country from people who have disposable income, particularly in countries like UAE or Saudi Arabia. So there is a lot of economic interest involved here of people who are part of the ruling elite there. Therefore, and besides that, India has a huge, in terms of investment, in terms of the kind of potential that we are getting to see today. That also acts as a kind of a catalyst, I would say. So in this case, what has happened is there has been a political will which has driven this. And as the case unfolds, this concerns the purchase of 12 VVIP aircraft, rather helicopters, for transport of persons occupying offices of the President, Prime Minister and the Vice President. And what we understand is, by the time this blew up into a big scandal in Italy, we saw the UPA government then actually cancelling the contract. But by then the stories had emerged that kickbacks were paid for this deal. Now, what further we saw was 3 people were identified as among the facilitators involving the payment of bribes, and one is the person who was brought here yesterday. Now, this being the case, that what is the underlying story, which is having the political impact, is that when the deal was secured, it probably involved a lot of push at the political level.
Right.
So the question is, what was the kind of push that, because there were a lot of allegations about the irregularities involved in choosing this particular aircraft, because there were reports that some of the parameters of the choice of aircraft were arbitrarily changed.
Right.
So many things that are there. So I think what will unfold will be in the court of law.
Right, absolutely. Ambassador Prabhodayal, you spoke about consular access and you spoke about how it's important that India gives UK consular access to Christian Michel. What is the process of consular access really?
The process involves a request by the mission, the diplomatic mission of the United Kingdom. That request can be in the form of a note verbal, and then the Ministry of External Affairs accords permission and facilitates the visit of consular officers from the UK High Commission to the concerned prisoner. Now, Piyush rightly said that even without an extradition treaty, countries can facilitate extradition. But the existence of an extradition treaty makes the process more authentic and more easy to achieve. India at the moment, as I mentioned earlier, has extradition treaties with 47 countries. It also has 10 extradition arrangements with other countries. Now, extradition arrangements are ipso facto weaker in nature. They are more in the nature of agreements which can be implemented or which can be ignored. It is very important for us because our fugitives seem to be now running to various countries. It's very important that we should try and sign extradition treaties with as many countries as possible. And our political relationship is going better and better with different countries, so it should be quite easy and achievable for us to have such extradition arrangements. Now, as was rightly mentioned by Mr. Shekhar Iyer and by the other panelists, the extradition of Christian Michel would have been possible because of the excellent political understanding which exists between India and UAE. Of course, there has been a very healthy relationship between the two countries for a very, very long time. But I do feel that in recent years, there has been a strengthening of the relationship. In the media, I have read reports that the UAE felt obliged to go along with our extradition request because we had cooperated in the case of Princess Latifa. I do not know whether this is true or not, whether this is only media speculation. But the fact of the matter is, the political relationship between India and the UAE is very, very strong.
Right.
And when the political relationship is very good, there is a will to cooperate on such matters as extradition.
Absolutely. Piyush, as far as consular access is concerned, is there any way that we can deny consular access? And is there a law governing consular access as well?
Public international law, in this case, definitely consular access can be denied, but only in very limited cases. So for instance, most of this public international law, what we have, all these, one thing which is just taught to almost all law students is a very weak law. So depending on which nation is in what governing position, it can definitely deny consular access to a particular country depending on facts and circumstances of a particular case, especially in such cases. So I would like to highlight David Headley's case. So in that particular case, in 2611 matter, the US had access, or US has apprehended David Headley. He has been convicted for 35 years in United States. India's all request for extraditing David Headley back to India has got all unheeded. So in such cases, because US has been saying that all those, we are only convicting him for killing 6 Americans, which was in 2611 matter, not for killing the Indian people in the own country. So consular access is definitely a prerogative of the, being a sovereign country, we have that prerogative, but definitely can be denied by the country.
All right. Mr. Balwinder Singh, what is the role of the investigating agencies now that we've got this person in our custody?
Now, in any case, custodial interrogation is on, and CBI has got custody for 5 days. They may request further if they find something worthwhile pursuing. And after that, whatever evidence is gathered through custodial interrogation, they have to follow up primarily in the area of tracking the proceeds of, in case, because allegation is that he's a middleman. So you have to link the funds flowing from him to the recipients of bribery, alleged recipients of bribery.
And will the CBI treat him any differently just because he's a foreign national, Mr. Singh?
No, I think an accused is an accused, and in any case, he has been already charge sheeted. They will very professionally try to find out as to how the money has moved from one to other, because there may not be a straight passing of money.
All right. All right. Shekhar Iyer, you did speak about how this particular scam took place during the UPA era. Considering that it happened back then, is it going to have any implications on the Congress party going forward?
Well, I think even in the course of this extradition process, we did see Congress leaders reacting to the developments, calling it a witch hunt and trying to link them with, with the kickbacks paid, and saying that after all the deal was cancelled. But I think our investigators have been working on the money trail, which is the most important, I would say, element of this whole episode. So we have got to see what kind of money trail is established and how is it put before the court of law. And also we will have to see what kind of testimony Christian makes before our court of law, because after all, he is going to come up with his defense, and everybody is going to watch what he says in the court, and whatever he says in the court has to be further corroborated by the investigative agencies. So that opens up, I would say, a Pandora's box of possibilities. I think that's the possibility which the political class is worried about and also looking forward to.
Is it going to be a big factor come 2019? Let's not forget, election year, elections are happening in states as well at this point in time.
Well, you see, the 2014 mandate was about fighting corruption. That's the mandate the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been often emphasizing, that I came here to change the system and cleanse the system. And the opposition attacks have been that, sometimes they say it's a witch hunt, sometimes they say you haven't gone far. You haven't actually stopped corruption. So therefore, we are going to see a lot of heat. But in the court of law, I think it will be more on the evidences presented and the kind of evidences already collected and corroborated before the court, because that's the main thing, that's the focus. And we have seen in cases like this where the accused is a middleman. He will obviously look for ways he can turn a prover or can get away with a lighter sentence. So I think that's where I think the focus is on. What is he going to tell the court?
All right.
Will he name some people? Will he name some very important functionaries? I think that's what everyone is waiting with bated breath.
All right. Yes, Piyush.
Frank, this trial is also going to be important because out of the 3 middlemen, the other 2 middlemen have been acquitted by the Italian courts. And Indian authorities are now assisting the Italian prosecutors with respect to the appeal which is will be pending with the Italian Supreme Court. So now with the other 2 middlemen getting acquitted, and only this 3rd middleman being in India, it will be, I would believe this will be an uphill task for the Indian investigating authorities to have a conviction in this case.
All right. All right. Ambassador, it's time to get closing comments now from all my guests, starting first with you, of course. Is the extradition of Christian Michel going to have any implications on UAE and UK ties?
Well, certainly, as far as the relationship with UAE is concerned, it will become better because they have cooperated with us on such an important issue. Similarly, the relationship with UK is confronted with a question mark because just as UAE has cooperated, are they also going to cooperate in sending back fugitives who have taken refuge in their country? So it's very important that the right message goes to the UK through this case. I must mention that there has been some negative propaganda generated by the fugitives themselves, that jail conditions in India are not proper and that they will not be treated properly. In fact, they will be treated inhumanely, etc. So that propaganda needs to be countered so that we are able to convince the UK to send back fugitives. And if they do so, certainly the relationship will be poised to be better. The UK is facing its own problems on account of Brexit and whatever. And it needs India's friendship. And the UK realizes it, but by not cooperating with us in regard to our request for extraditing fugitives, probably they will not be doing their bit. It's very important that they do their bit and then take the necessary steps for taking the relationship forward.
Can Michel be used as leverage maybe to bring back someone like a Vijay Mallya?
I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that, but yes, the manner in which the Christian Michel trial goes and the manner in which the entire episode shapes out will help in our efforts to bring back Vijay Mallya and any other
And
fugitives.
just as we are speaking about this, there's an update really. Ravish Kumar, of the MEA has said in a briefing that after following all due process and after exhausting of all judicial processes, Christian Michel was extradited to India. The matter is being handled by the Central Bureau of Investigation. This is an example of cooperation between India and the UAE. Ambassador?
Well, I agree. This is an example of cooperation between India and the UAE, and all well-intentioned countries should cooperate with each other in sending back fugitives. So this is my fond hope that the United Kingdom also does likewise.
Absolutely. All right. Mr. Balwinder Singh, the extradition of Christian Michel, is that going to have any kind of an impact on other such fugitives?
I think if you are looking at immediate case of Vijay Mallya from UK, as far as legal process is concerned, the verdict is expected on 10th of December, which will go on the basis of evidence produced by Indian authorities through Crown Prosecution Service of UK. And I also hope that British authorities see how UAE has cooperated with India and continue with in a similar way.
All right. And Piyush Singh, what are the biggest challenges really as far as seeking a fugitive's extradition is concerned?
The two biggest challenges is that it should be an offense, a principle of dual criminality. At times, the same offense in that particular country does not have the same terminology, but substance, at most of the time it has been held that the substance of the offense is the most important thing which has to be looked into. Then the second thing is, once a person is apprehended in the requested state or arrested in a requested state, other than the judicial order, you also require an administrative order. So like in this case, judicial order was passed, I would say 20 days back, but to get that administrative order, we require a lot of political consensus for that.
All right. And Shekhar Iyer, is there a global effort really as far as cracking down on fugitives is concerned?
Yeah, indeed, because we did see that this was an important agenda at the G20 summit last week, where our Prime Minister particularly raised this issue, and it did find a mention in the declaration that there should be a 11-point program how to go about this, because this is a problem now being faced by everybody. We hear of our people sometimes duping American citizens over online, and there are innumerable cases of American authorities pursuing here. Now, what is changing is, I think that's something we need to notice. Earlier, it was always India being unable to use its persuasive power for want of economic or political clout. But that has changed. We can see when a government of India makes a request, it is taken seriously. That seriousness which India has gained in the world community of nations is what is actually helping in cases like this.
Absolutely. And Ambassador, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Well, I feel that not just Vijay Mallya, but Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi will also not have a very easy time now. They will not get easy sleep because I think the writing is on the wall that we are determined to get back fugitives who have run away from our system. And looking at the way things are shaping out, countries are more likely to cooperate with us than they were before.
All right. On that note, then, we'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to Shekhar Iyer, Barwinder Singh, Prabhu Dayal and Piyush Singh for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. The time ahead looks difficult for fugitives is what the panelists are suggesting, and it looks like the world is cooperating and standing together as one as far as dealing with offenders. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. See you again next time.
I sing and I dance around the house with joy at the paranda that my beloved has bought for me. For a young girl in Punjab looking forward to marriage, this song carries with it the glow of first love, and it centers on the paranda. This cosmetic accessory, generations old, is deeply entwined in Punjabi culture.
ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਗਹਿਣੇ ਆ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਝੁਮਕੇ, ਸੱਗੀ ਫੁੱਲ, ਸਾਰਾ ਚੂੜੀਆਂ। ਪਰਾਂਦੀ ਜੋ ਪਰਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਸੁਹਾਗਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਪੈਂਦੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਪੈਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਬਟ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕੁਆਰੀਆਂ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੌਂਕ ਨਾਲ ਪਹਿਨਦੀਆਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਦਾ ਗਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਨ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਅਤ ਦਾ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ।
The Parandewala Bazaar in Patiala is home to this traditional accessory. Through the centuries, the paranda has evolved from a bundle of cotton thread to richly ornamented designs. Making each piece can take anywhere between 10 minutes to 10 days or more, depending on the intricacy of design. Silk threads, beads, pearls. The only limit to variety being the creativity of mind.
काम में लगे हो तो बहुत देर से हैं, जनरेशन टू जनरेशन चल रहा है। राजेशाही काम है ये, राजाओं के टाइम का है। और बाकी इसमें अभी भी हैं 250-300 फैमिली इस पे अटैच हैं। 3-4 मैन्युफैक्चर इस समय हाजिर हैं जो काम कर रहे हैं लार्ज स्केल में।
Though not being a part of daily wear, the paranda in the modern Punjabi household continues to form an important part of a Punjabi girl's bridal trousseau. From choosing the right size to selecting various combinations to go with different attires, there is a great deal of excitement around the paranda during wedding time.
जिन्ना पुराना पंजाबी सभ्याचार है उन्ना पुराना ही परांदे का जन्म है। जद तो पंजाबी सभ्याचार शुरू होया, जद तो लोग सभ्यक होए, जदों तो उन्होंने पहनन दा खान पीन दी सोझी आई, उदों तो ही उन्होंने अपने वालों नूं बन्नना शुरू कर दिता। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਾਲ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਧਾਗੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੰਨ੍ਹ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ। ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਧਾਗਾ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਰੰਗਦਾਰ ਧਾਗੇ ਲਪੇਟਣੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਲਮੀ ਸਿਤਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਐਡ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਫਿਰ